You don't do that. And he did that, and I'll never take him back. So it's a done deal. He killed it. He did. He really did.
Stopping a man from doing what a man wants to do, to each his own. Unfortunately, with infidelity, it's a very serious thing. And you either have to work through it, or either you recognize that this isn't obviously the place that you want to be. You know, and all men don't cheat. I think it's just kind of a product of maybe your emotion or maybe your insecurity as a man.
Let's be real. If you grow up in an environment where love, power, and intimacy are all transactional, and you're exposed to behavior before you even turn 16, how are you supposed to build healthy relationships later in life? And child, based on reports, people say this may be exactly what affected Usher's relationship with TLC's Chilli. He was constantly tied to cheating scandals, and now folks are looking back and wondering if that behavior was a result of what he was allegedly forced to experience at Puffy's flavor camp.
He got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything, you know what I'm saying, about the business, right? I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story.
Baby, allegedly, behind the scenes, has been confirming what Kim Porter reportedly knew, which is that Diddy possibly put Usher in hospital after forcing himself on him. And now people are just like, maybe the question shouldn't be, why did Usher cheat? Maybe the question should be, what was done to Usher and who allowed it? See, the thing is, Usher and Chilli originally met when Usher signed to the same label as Chilli, LaFace Records. Of course, we know that Usher was given to Diddy as a mentor, and at 14 years old, he moved to New York to stay with Diddy, and by extension, he had to go through the Puffy flavor camp. Usher also started dating Chilli after some time, and during their relationship, Chilli made cameos in Usher's music videos, including You Remind Me and You Got It Bad. Unfortunately, Chilli and Usher decided to part ways, and in 2004, Chilli suggested that cheating played a role in their breakup when she said on The Burt Show on Atlanta's Q100 that Usher committed the ultimate no-no and that she would never take him back. In the same interview, Chilli also said that if someone cheats one time, you don't wait around to see if they're going to do it again, basically confirming that Usher cheated on her. In addition, during an episode of VH1's Behind the Music, Chilli recalled hearing rumors of infidelity that she told Usher about, and he even admitted it. She said, he admitted it. You know, I felt like a fool. I felt like everybody knew something and I didn't, and I'm just now finding out. In fact, in 2013, Chilli was still talking about how she was hurt, and she even told Us Weekly, in any relationship, even when it came to my relationship with Usher, when it was time to make a move, I had to do that. I don't care how much my heart was hurting. Sometimes you're just supposed to be with people for a reason, and it's not always a lifetime. Even if you want it to be, it just doesn't work out that way. But I'll always love him, forever, because he was my first adult love, a real love. But we're cool. We're really cool. There's no hard feelings, nothing like that. It's all good. What people have been saying for years is that whatever Usher allegedly experienced while he was under Diddy's wing ended up shaping how he handled relationships later on. And the person who witnessed a large part of that was Chilli, because she was there from the very beginning. Now let's be clear, nothing has ever been confirmed. But if even a fraction of these rumors hold any truth, it forces you to see Usher's behavior through a completely different lens. Imagine being young, dropped into that kind of environment, possibly manipulated or exposed to situations before you even had the capacity to understand them. That kind of psychological impact doesn't just vanish. It can define how you love, how you trust, how you navigate intimacy. So when Usher got with Chilli, someone who genuinely cared for him, maybe he wanted to be that man, but couldn't. Maybe the unresolved trauma from that Diddy era followed him. Maybe the cheating and emotional distance weren't just about being a player. Maybe it was pain. And you know what? Usher's trauma seemingly persisted long after he was with Chilli, with people like Wendy Williams and Dwight Eubanks even discussing how troubled Usher's marriage was. In fact, they even suggested that Usher was on the DL.
We know the word on the street regarding that marriage and what it's all about.
Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is, but since you're in Atlanta, you can take us in a little bit more. So what is the word on the street and what that marriage is about?
We're going to hold that for a later date, but what you think you heard is what's on the street.
Okay, so he's how you doing?
Wow. Well,
I'm going to write you a note.
Let's go to a commercial break.
And when you factor in all the stories that have been floating around for years about Diddy allegedly being on the DL and hooking up with Usher, baby, it just makes the whole situation feel even darker. I mean, we've had people like Jaguar Wright spilling tea about a lawyer who walked in on Diddy and Christopher Williams in the middle of a moment. And according to her, they didn't even stop when they realized someone was there. Then you've got Gene Deal claiming that he once saw a man run out of Diddy's hotel room completely naked.
And he said, yo, Gene, watch the door, don't let nobody come through here. And I said, I watched the door. If I watched the door and him and a man ran out naked, and I said that, ain't nobody told me that. I saw that myself. I'm telling you what I saw myself. I'm not repeating nothing that somebody told me.
On top of all that, Exhibit once claimed that Diddy gave him what he called the gayest night of my life. According to Exhibit, this happened when he was single and attended a New Year's Eve party in Florida hosted by Puffy, where he showed up with Superhead. Exhibit said Puff later pulled him aside and told him that Superhead had allegedly videotaped him with fingers in the behind, even calling her the devil. After that, he claimed Diddy took them out to a club. While hanging in the VIP section, Exhibit said he and Superhead saw two men kissing and another man completely naked. He described the whole vibe as suspect and said it was unlike any club he'd ever been to. And that's coming from someone who'd been to plenty. But what really shocked him, according to his own words, was how calm and unfazed Diddy seemed about everything going on around them. So basically, what people have been saying is that given Diddy's history, they wouldn't be surprised if he had his way with Usher. And you know what? The streets are even saying that Usher passed on the trauma he got from Diddy to Justin Bieber.
People aren't more mad at Usher because somewhere along the way he went from a victim to a procurer. Like, let's just be honest about Usher. Is he a victim or is he a cooperating agent?
So, just like Usher, Justin was around the same age Usher was when he started spending a lot of time with 40-year-old Diddy. And Diddy was also out there promising him cars and mansions. For some reason, they stopped hanging out, and there has been footage of Justin appearing super uncomfortable when Diddy questions him about why he stopped hanging out with him. Well, I've seen reports saying both Diddy and Usher took advantage of Justin, but I'm just saying what I have heard. I'm yet to see the receipts. And about Usher also being on the DL, there's also that guy who once spilled on how Usher has been rolling, saying that Usher was a little too comfortable at a gay club. What happened was that after Usher performed one time, everyone was in Usher's dressing room drinking champagne when someone came up with the idea that they should go to a club. That's when, the source claimed, the group went to a popular gay nightclub saying, "We weren't looking for a gay club. It just happened. I mean, most of us were gay, so we just went to a place we knew." Apparently, Usher struck up a conversation with an older gentleman at the club, and he even explained the situation, saying, "Usher was talking all up in this guy's face. I thought the two of them were going to start kissing. At first, I couldn't believe my eyes. But then I thought, this is Chelsea, so anything goes." Then, when asked whether Usher had a good time, the source said, "I know he did." Remember, Usher was also mentioned in the lawsuit against Diddy by Lil Rod. Well, he wasn't exactly mentioned by name, but a redacted excerpt caught the attention of followers because it was clearly pointing to Usher. The lawsuit talked about an artist who performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Vegas residency. That sure sounds like Usher, right? As for the context in which Usher even came up, allegedly, Diddy was bragging to Lil Rod about hooking up with two people in the industry. One of them, a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj, allegedly Meek Mill, and the artist who performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Vegas residency. Anywho, what I can tell you is that Usher actually intends to tell his story someday. I mean, I remember there was a time when Usher was on the cover of Essence magazine, and he sort of let it slip that something did go down between him and Diddy. First of all, he was very cool when asked about other things, like how he would continue to pursue movie projects and, somewhere down the road, a new album and several business ventures. He said, "Something that you should know about me is that I'm a businessman before I'm anything else. Look at the capabilities of Martha Stewart or Russell Simmons or Sean Puffy Combs or even 50 Cent with G-Unit. Look at what they did with their licensing. This is my opportunity to do the same. Clothing and shoes are kind of the standard nowadays, so I'm trying to figure out how I can come at it from a different angle." However, when the talk turned to his time living with P. Diddy, the interviewer said Usher became surprisingly restrained, and he said, "I want to save some stuff for my book one day." Who knows, maybe Usher is planning on talking about how Diddy landed him in hospital and many other things he went through in his book that we are eagerly waiting for.
Say a man that you gonna give him a pass. Bruh, you know I know. let me reframe you on something. Remember Usher? We was at the Swiss Hotel. Puff had Kim in the room. Had one of Keith Sweat's baby mothers in the big room outside the master bedroom. He came outside in his robe. She gave him a fellatio right there. His back was turned to me. She gave him a fellatio. You knocked on the door. I came and opened the door for you. Puff went in the room. You came in the room and kissed that girl dead in her mouth.
Again, this entire situation with Diddy is all alleged until Usher gives us receipts. But we gotta start asking real questions about how the industry treats its young stars. How many other mentorships were really just exploitation in disguise? And how many of these so-called superstars are really just survivors of some messed up stuff behind the scenes? Also, we are gonna need people like Chilli, who were there from the beginning, to probably clear the air. But let me know what you think about what she possibly witnessed or what Usher told her about Diddy in the comments section below.